Hi, and welcome to another episode of Utah Crossbow Hunter. And today's show, we are going to be talking about scales and weighing your arrows today. So, with that said, let's get started with today's show. Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Utah Crossbow Hunter. In today's show, we are going to be talking about scales and weighing your arrows. And you see I got more of my thorns here. We'll be weighing up the broadheads. We're going to be weighing the field tips. And I'm also going to show you what I do. I make a spreadsheet that I put all my arrows down, like on this page here. I have, as you can see, I don't know if you can see it too well, I have some stuff down here, but I number all my arrows, and you see on this one's number 4. I don't know how well you can see that right there, but I put numbers on all my arrows, so when I weigh them I know exactly how much they weigh. And then I put down my arrows. So when I make, let's see, let me grab one here. So I'll take one of these arrows and I'll put it on my scale. And then I'll enter a number of the weight. So for example, for my pile driver, one of my pile driver arrows, where are they? I forgot them. But anyways, I'll go grab one here in just a second. Matter of fact, let me go grab it right now so I don't forget. Okay, so here I have one of my pile drivers and one of my center point arrows. When I weigh these arrows, I'm going to weigh them with the way I'm going to shoot them, so I know exactly what my weights are going to be. I prefer all my arrows to be within 2 grains. Sometimes maybe I'll push it maybe to 3, but I don't go any more than that, because I want them all as close as possible, especially for hunting. You want your arrows all pretty much matched. For target shooting, you could probably get away with going a little bit further, just knowing that the weight is going to be a little bit different. So another way I weigh them too, let's see if I can find one here, is also, like I said, with my light and knock. That's going to be whatever knock is going to be on my arrow is the ones I'm going to use for shooting. What I have on my spreadsheet, I have my arrow weight, my tip weight, total weight, and then when I go out to do my chronograph, I'll put on my arrow speed, then I'll do my kinetic energy, and what type of broadhead, which is all, like I said, it's the THORN broadhead, and I'll show you more about that here in a little bit. So I'm not going to sit here and measure and weigh all my arrows for you today. The reason for that is it takes a while to match up everything, because I do have to go back through, and I always at least every 2 months I'll go through my arrows and make sure my weights are all still good on those. The reason I do that is that for whatever reason, they either gain weight or lose weight. I don't know why, but just usually it's not that much. But I always want to make sure my arrows are matched. So if I got a flyer, for example, I'll bring it back in and I will weigh it and see if it's the weight, or let me grab my spinner. I have this spinner. Also, I'm going to show you guys today, because what I did here is I bought this spinner, really nice spinner, and then I mounted it just on a simple, I guess you call it do-it-yourself board here. So I have something to put it up against. So if you have a flyer, you can use it because it's not shooting straight because it's wobbly or whatever. I can come in and I can find out, in fact, if it is, you know, got bent for some reason or whatever. I mean, because they may got warped because it's sitting in somewhere, or it may be even that it broke. So, and you can't really see the breakage in here, so maybe because the carbon fiber type arrow, because that's all I shoot is carbon fiber arrows. So I want to, you know, always just run your fingers up and down your arrow, just like you would on your crossbow, on your limbs, to see if you can find any breakage or anything coming apart on your limbs. And so I can do that. Now they also have these brass inserts. Some are 60, some are 110 grain, or different. But they're always going to be shipped. Most of them are shipped with that already in there, so and glued in and stuff. So move this out of the way here. Another thing that I do is I have a tackle box that has everything I use for my crossbows in this tackle box. So it right now it's pretty full. I probably could use a bigger tackle box, but I keep all my broadheads in here. I keep all my field tips, everything used. Like I got my laser in here, I got my rangefinder in here, I got my rope copying devices in there, and a whole bunch of other stuff that I keep all in one spot, so I don't lose anything anywhere. So it stays all together. The only problem I have with it is the kids like to get into it and playing it, which is no big deal. I think they're helping. Okay. But today also is a bittersweet day for me. My daughter started kindergarten, so I just got back from taking her to school. So she was pretty excited about it. She was going to make new friends and have a good time, I think. So, okay. So let's get started here and weighing some arrows. Now, unfortunately, I do not have an overhead camera here so you can see the weight of my arrows. I need to get one of those arms, put on a tripod, bring it over and drop it down over the top. But again, that takes a little bit of money, and I don't have that quite much. I just have to buy little bits here and there as I go. So with that, let's get started. So we're going to start with this pile driver. Again, you always want to make sure weights are important, because you want to do a kinetic energy test later on. So we're going to put this little cradle on here, which is nice. Some come with it, some don't. Always try to find a cradle or something to put your stuff on. Okay, when I turn it on here, it's going to zero it out and make the weighing a little bit easier. So this pile driver, number 9, is my arrow number 9. Comes in at 345.8 grains. So that's just the standard arrow. So then what I'm going to do next is I'll weigh all my arrows next. But like I said, I'm not going to do all that today because it's going to take time. With all the arrows that I got and put them in my spreadsheet and stuff, it takes roughly an hour, because I have a lot of them. You know, I have my, so I have the pile drivers I got to do. I have my center points to do, and my gold tips to do. So one thing too is also important is you want to always weigh your arrows as close to the same spot as possible. Because if you say you go right or the left, either way, so for example here, I'm going to go to the right a little bit, and that comes down to 334.2. And you can, I don't know if you can see it, Rona, it's kind of tipping towards the back, and got the arrow is pretty much sitting on the ground, on the table here. So you want to make sure you're centered perfectly, nothing touching the table, flat on your cradle there. So we're back up to 346.0, so a little bit of a difference. So you got to pay attention to detail with your arrows. So then I'll weigh them all, and then I'll take the cradle off, reset it, and now here's what's going to be the interesting part. Let's see which ones. Okay, these are my 100 grain. So they'll tell you they're a 100 grain tip. So my first tip here comes in at 101.1. No, there we go. 100.6. So it's pretty close to 100 grain. And I'll take another one. This one's 99.6. So we got roughly 1 grain difference. And we got this one here. Okay, that one doesn't belong on that stack. I think it was in that one there. That was one of my 125s. Okay, so this is 100.2. And then we got 99.6. So you can see that they're not exactly 100 grains on your tips. We got 99.6. Yeah, here you go, 98.8. So you want to get your ones as closest to 100 as possible. Like this one's 100.2. So, for example, so this one was 345 or whatever it was, number 9. So 346. So now I want to make this as close as possible to 446 as possible. So I'm just going to take one of these here for an example, and I'm going to put it on here, turn my scale off, put it on my cradle, reset it, and then I'm going to put my arrow on here, make sure it's flat. It's 446.6. So now, what I will do is I will set here, and I got a whole bunch of field tips here, and I'll go through and I'll get them as closely as matched as possible, so they're within at least 2 grains of each other. For an example here, I have an arrow, a pile driver arrow that comes in at 356, and am I using the pile? Okay, so number 1 arrow comes in at 356, and the number 9 arrow, which I'm using, comes in at 346. So we're talking 10 grain difference. So do I want to shoot number 1 and number 9? No, I don't, because that 346 is where I want to be for the 440 range. But otherwise, you put a field tip on it, you're looking at about on number 1 at 356 with 99.8 tip weight. So you're looking at 457. So the difference between 457 and 442 is quite a bit of difference. So you want to that's why you want to make sure that your arrows are weighed as close as possible and matched as close as possible. So what I'm doing, so now what I'm doing is I got one of my ballistics here. So I want to take the tip off. And you don't have to do a spreadsheet. You can do whatever, however you want to do it, but that's the way I prefer to do it. So I got my lighted knock here. As you see, I got a lighted knock on there. The lighted knocks come in at about, let's see here, 33.2 grains. So the ones that come on here are probably a lot lighter with the standard knock, non-lighted knock. These ones have the lighted knock on them. So when if you're going to be shooting lighted knocks, make sure your lighted knock is on your arrow, because that's where you're going to practice with it. So this one's, for example, this lighted knock here is 33.3 grains. So these ones here might be 10 grains. So I don't know if I can get these out or not. Oh yeah, I can get one of those out. So let's weigh one of these. So 13.8 grains. So 20 grain difference. So can 20 grain difference make a difference in your shooting? Absolutely. It could be a high or low. You know, more than likely it's going to, with the front and center, is going to change. And we'll talk about that here in just a second. So so what I do is I'm going to weigh this first without the tip on it. I hope I put my cradle on there. Okay, so now let's weigh it without the tip. Okay, so this one here, the 425 ballistic by Gold Tip with the lighted knock on it, comes in at 362.6. So now I'm going to put I'll take this off and weigh the tip. Tell this tip's pretty dirty. Zero out your scale. Put your tip on. This tip here, we're talking about, this one's 3 grains under 100. It's 97.8, 2.2 grains. So under the 100 grain. But with my arrows, it will come out, and like I said, I'm not going to go through everything. Will come out to where it'll be weighing pretty close to my other arrows. So let's put the tip on here. Zero out my scale. Put on my cradle. Okay. And now we're going to weigh it again. It's coming in at 460.6 grains. So with the tip on there, this one I believe is a 60 grain insert with my knock on there. It's coming out at 460.6. So what I want to do is I'm going to eventually pull out one of my THORN broadheads, and I want to see what the weight is with that. So I'm going to take this one, set it aside. Again, these are all examples. They're not precise. So this is. Oh, I don't want to use this one here. We'll get to that one in just a moment. Then we'll go back to this one here. So the THORN broadheads. Let's talk about the THORN broadheads really quick. So with the THORN broadheads, they come in, I believe at let's see, these ones here are 125 grain, I believe. Let's see here. Zero it out. These ones here are 125 grain broadhead. It comes with these little sleeves on there. I don't know if you can see that. Well, you can see that. But this is a, we got this one here, 125. And this one makes it's a little bit smaller collar to make it the other one's a 100 grain broadhead. So if you look at these two, they're exactly the same. The only difference is the sleeve that is on there. So let me put this sleeve back on. So the nice thing about these broadheads, and I have a you can shoot them into a foam target like mine. What I have is I made some targets that I made myself, and I'll talk about those in another episode, and you guys will find out how they work. So we're going to make this a practice broadhead. So you can make all your THORN broadheads a practice broadhead. So what they do, let me see if I got one here. There we go. Let me use this one here. So I got this one here. You can see that I have this collar on here, the yellow collar, and then it's got this keeper right here. Now what it does is that practice collar that goes on there, it just pops right off, and you can go hunting now. Your arrows are all set. Then it's got this little pin that goes right into that towards the bottom, and then you shear this off here with your knife or whatever, and once you shear that off, you make it flush, you're ready to go hunting. So, and they pack in, so when they hit their target, so the broadhead is out like this, okay? So, and these are all tucked in like that. So when they hit their target, that it'll shear off that pin that's in there, push your blades out. The blades will come out, and the initial contact will be like this, flat out, and as it goes into the animal, it slides back into almost a V shape. That's how that's going to work. So it's got a cutting edge here and a cutting edge here. So if you look at it again, field tip broadhead. It doesn't have any wings on it. This is why I like it. Okay, move. Let me get out of the way out here. I have some rages here. Okay, I don't have the rages exactly set up on here, but the thing I don't like about the rages is when you got the shock collar on here and everything, it looks like to me it has wings like on an airplane. So when you so you're going to have to match up the tip, in my opinion, you have to match up the tip to your fletchings on the back to get yourself a nice straight shot. With these, you don't have to do that. They're already set. You got these. They're just, to me, it's like just an extended broadhead. I mean, extended field tip. So it's just a little bit longer, but I have shot these, and they shoot fantastically. Okay. But again, so and here's the practice ones they send with your broadheads for your rages on this particular one. I don't remember which ones I have, but so let's weigh these. So I got the first one on. Yep, let me turn on my scale. Zero it out. So this broadhead, this 100 grain field tip, rage tip here is 107.8 grains. So now let's use the practice tip. 98.8. So 10, pretty much most rounded off, 10 grain difference. Is that going to make a difference? Yes. Okay, in your front of center, in your punching power. Okay, so, and these practice tips, I wouldn't really say that they're the same. I mean, they look like they've got the same type of tip, but if you look at them closely, okay, this one here, the tip is longer than this one. You see how it goes all the way down here, and this one starts here. So, is there a difference? I would say yes, absolutely. So, would I want to practice with something like that? No, I wouldn't. I would have to waste a broadhead, and I'm not into wasting stuff because of money. Okay, so that's why I went to these. I don't need a practice tip because it's their own practice tip. Okay. Okay, so you can see the difference in those, and that's my biggest thing, you know, is practice with a practice tip. Practice tip. To me, there's a difference. You know, and like I said, these I have this type here, the 100 grain. There's a titanium. I forget the name that they call these exactly, but it comes in a packaging like this. They're called the titanium rip tip. These purple ones here, and then they have, and these are I think an inch and a quarter cutting width, and then I have these ones here. The black ones, got too much stuff here, they're called the Rift here, and these are a 2.2 inch cut. So these would be like for a bigger animal, like maybe an elk, moose, bear, something like that, and these would be for smaller animals, you know, like deer and antelope and things like that. So just a little bit of a difference there. Bigger cut on the Rift, smaller cut with the titanium tip. Okay, so where is? Oh, there it is. So the way this works with this collar, like I said, they're a little tough. Hard to get on. You can see here. Okay, so you got the tip on there, you get the practice collar, and you take these little rubber doohickeys, put it in that little hole it's got right here, slide it through, pull it through, okay, till that little rubber ball at the end disappears, and then they have a tool. I really don't like this. What's good for this tool here is that nobody's used it. Is that when you can clean out the inside here, you just push that through, and say you got some junk in there, you know, like skin and stuff from the animal. You can just push that through and reuse your tip if you want. And they can always show us, when you look at them, if you look at the front of these, or the same, this is the 125 grain, so there's a collar that's beveled here that goes flush with your tip here, and this is what goes into your arrow. Okay, so now let's put my cradle on. I'm gonna put my cradle on here. Now, I might get this right one of these days. Zero it out. Put my gold tip on here. .362.8, and then I'm going to find. I want to get my THORN broadhead here, my 100 grain broadhead. Run it on. Now, if you notice, I don't have the collar on here. I don't weigh these with a collar on them for a simple fact, but I do have the little rubber doohickey there, because these don't weigh. The collars don't, maybe 1 grain or something like that. So these are what I will actually shoot for hunting with. So put that on there. Okay, 462.2. So what I'll do next, eventually, is I'll take these and we'll go out with my chronograph, and we're going to be shooting. I don't know when. Probably next week. I'm thinking is I'll take these out and we'll do probably different parts, because we'll have to do comparison with the center point and the pile driver arrows versus the gold tip. So I'll have everything all weighed out, and the ones that I'm going to be shooting, I'm going to be shooting the ones that are closest to what I'm looking for in weight. Okay, and then we'll do speed shots and do the kinetic energies. I'm hoping, as long as the weather stays nice, we'll be able to do that, because that's going to take, again, that's going to take a little bit of time to go out and do. But but again, I can't stress how important it is to weigh your arrows, weigh your tips, because like I said, here's some 125 grain tips. So this one here, they like to roll around on here, is 125.4. 125.6, 125.2. So they're all pretty close here. 125 and 125.2. And I have some that are down as low as 123 grains. And as high as, I think, if I remember correctly, like 127. So again, weighing your tips for your practice, your field tips for practice, versus your the broadhead of your choice. Now, I'm not saying go out and get these, but for me personally, I like these THORN broadheads. But again, weighing is, it's just this cheap little scale here. But again, make sure you have some sort of cradle to put your arrows in. Now, nothing is front of center. You always want to make sure you got a good front of center. Like, let me go back here. This is with a 100 grain tip on there. So, front of center is not all that much there. Now let's see, let's bring out my, this is a 22-inch arrow. Let's see where we're at here. With a 100 grain. Let's see if I can find here one with a 125 tip. Here's one. There's a tip of 125. on the 420 on the 425. So again, it's got a little more front of center. Front of center also gives you more punching power. Okay. So the other thing I'll show you here real quick is a spin test. So if your arrow isn't flying straight, put it on a spinner and you just spin it. And you want to see where your tip is here. So this one here, it's got just a little bit of a wobble. Let's see, let's take this off. And let's put on a field tip. So yeah, this one's got a little bit, this arrow here, number 6, that has a little bit of a wobble. Just a little bit of a wobble. So let's take another arrow here and see what we got. Okay, no wobble in this one. Perfectly straight. So, later in a little while, I'm going to redo all these. So this arrow has, like this, has a little, so you can see it. I know you can't see it there, but let me see if I can try and change the angle here. See if you can see the wobble. I don't know if you can see the wobble or not. I wish I could figure out how to do 2 cameras so you can see that. But yeah, there's a little bit of a wobble there, and this one doesn't. So let's take this field tip off, and we'll put on the THORN Broadhead, 125 grain, and there's no wobble. So we're perfect. Okay, so a spinner, always check your arrows, make sure that, because like I said, if you got a flyer, this is a good way right here to determine if you have a, why that flyer is flying. So if it's not, so it's got that wobble in the tip, then you probably want to just take this arrow and maybe not really trash it, but put it off to the side, and maybe in an emergency case you may have to use it in an emergency. But again, if it's going to be a flyer, you don't want to use it, because for example, if you're going to do it, when we talk about flyers, it goes up, rises, goes down, right, left, it does its own little thing. So we want arrows to shoot perfectly straight, because accuracy, again, and you're going to hear me say it a lot about accuracy, because if you're off and you got that flyer, you may have just wounded the animal. It may take them for longer to die, it may take days, weeks, whatever, but you're making that animal suffer. So accuracy is so important when it comes down to shooting. That's why you practice a lot, and that's why I practice a lot. This is why I'm always spinning my arrows. That's why I'm always, weighing my arrows. And like I said, I'm gonna practice with, most of the time I will practice with just the field tip, because I don't want to ruin these. So before I go hunting, I'll take these out, put the practice collars on, and shoot them. So I may have, let's say, this whole bunch of arrows here that I have here. I will take these here, and I'll put my broadheads on, make sure they're within, like I said, a couple of grains. I'll take them out to my targets, and then I will shoot them. Make sure they're shooting nice and straight, and if I need to make any adjustments, I'll make them at that point in time, and that's what I will use out in the field. And what I did here too, I don't know, you really can't see it, but when I took this board here I put just a little bit of a groove right here so I could sink it down just a little bit, and just used super glue to put to mount this. So I made sure it was nice and flat, and because the thing about these here is that with these plastic pieces is that they're not always straight, so you may be cockeyed. So now when I got this set up, it's not cockeyed, it's perfectly straight. So my tip goes right into the board, and I can see my tip there. But you don't have to do anything like this. This is just what I did, and it made a big difference because I was noticing I had a lot of arrows. I was seeing kind of wobbly, but this was just out of torque just a little bit. So I put it on here, flattened it out, made sure everything was straight, and now when I spin do my spin test, everything is nice and straight. Okay? Alright. So, like I said, just the weighing of your arrows is very important because you want that kinetic energy. You want to get that kinetic energy shot, because the heavier the arrow, the higher kinetic energy force, and we'll be doing that later on. Alright, so I hope you got a little bit out of this. So if you liked the video, hit that subscribe button down below, ring that bell, give me that thumbs up. And again, I'm still you could say a virgin at making videos and doing things like this, and I'm hoping to get better. I'm trying my best to get better, doing different things for you guys. I enjoy doing this. This is video number 5. So as I get going down the road, as you're going to see some different things with my videos. I'm trying to do other things. When I say other things, I'm trying to make them better. More stuff in them for you guys. More camera angles. Whatever I can do for you. But if you have any questions, concerns, hey, whatever, shoot me an email. It'll be down in the description, down at the bottom of this page. Got any questions? Things you want to see in the future? Hit me up. So with that said, we'll be right back with some final thoughts. Okay, so we're back with some final thoughts. Like I said, we talked a little bit about the THORN broadheads, and again, we'll be shooting those later on into some homemade targets. That's going to be exciting to see how well that works. We talked about the weights of your field tips and how you want to weigh those, and your arrows, and make sure if you're not going to use a lot of knock or whatever, that's fine. But whatever you're going to be using for a knock, make sure that's on there for your shooting purposes. Talking about spreadsheets. Make yourself a spreadsheet. It doesn't have to be on your laptop or your pad or whatever. You can make one on a piece of paper or whatever you got. It doesn't make any difference. But again, I'm going to say I highly recommend that you use the scale. Weigh your arrows. Weigh your tips, whether it be a field tip, a broadhead, or a field tip. Weigh them. Make sure everything matches, and try and get as close to my recommendation, and that's what I use, is within 2 grains for shooting. Again, we talked about these Rage broadheads. I don't remember exactly what brand of broadhead we had here, and the difference in the weight of the practice tip and your shooting tip. Big difference. There was about 10 grains. So, and how let me bring that a little bit closer here. You can see how the difference is in the tips there, and they don't really look like the same there. But I also have these fixed broadheads. I might play around with these a little bit. They're from GALLEN. I bought these at Walmart. It was 3 in a pack, and Walmart had these on sale. There was a clearance sale for $1 a pack. I couldn't beat that, so that's why I picked those up. Just see how they shoot, just for fun. 'Cause I think here in Utah these aren't quite wide enough, but I have to double check on that. And I think these were 100 grain tip. Well, let's see here. They're zeroed out. Yeah, they're 100 grain tip. So I might play around with it. I think these ones here are also replaceable. Let's see. No, maybe not. The collar is not moving. So the tip here, the sharpness of this tip here doesn't feel that sharp to me. They're originally like $10 or something like that, and they were on sale for $1. And I thought, you know what, let me pick up some of these. So I did that. The same thing with these here, these lighted knocks. I got lucky. Yeah, I wish I could remember the brand name, but they were like $35. The lighted knocks are expensive. So these ones here, I think I picked these up for like $3 for 3. So I picked up a whole bunch of those. So I got lucky. Why Walmart was doing that, I don't know, but that put money back in my pocket, because like I said, these things are $35, and these ones here from GALLEN were like $10. And I think I picked up, and yeah, I think these Rages, I also picked those up for like $3-4 a piece at Walmart, because they were on sale. They cleared out all the Crossbow stuff. Why, I don't know, but they got some stuff back now, but not like they used to. So I like sales. All right, so like I said, shoot me an email if you got any questions or anything. Hit me up in the comments. You know, like I said, I'm not the greatest speaker. Probably the worst speaker of all. But this is all new to me, and I'm enjoying it, and I hope you guys are enjoying it too. So, safe hunting, good hunting, and enjoy your family. Until next time, have a great day.